So after your assessment, I just want to establish whether what gave you or who gave you the power or the authority to examine accused number 2 in terms of general examination. Was it the consent, was it given to you by accused number 2?
When they came in, number one, they brought him in and then they explained to us what's happening, because it's the protocol that we follow when prisoners are coming through, that we need to speak to the police or the wardeners to find out what the patient is in for. And then from there, we speak to the patient and tell them, or we're going to examine you in relative to our standard. So it's up to the patient to say, okay, I want to be examined or I don't want to be examined. So we do say to tell to the patient that we are going to examine you. The patient also has the right to say they don't want to be examined or not. But in this particular fashion, because they were brought by the police and the warden, when you look at it, I would say in any case, in scenario, since the patient was taken from a prison and was brought to us, it looks like maybe that's something that was maybe authorized by the law, authorized maybe by a higher order or whatsoever. And then, but when we convey to the patient, if the patient does continue agreeing for us to assess them, we take or the patient doesn't have any sort of issue with what we're doing.
Maqala ke babengena ke umuntu elethwe ke labo ke basejele kanye futhi ke namaphoyisa ke siqale sikhulume nabo ke sizwe kube yibona ke abasitshelayo bese nathi ke siyayikhulumela ke naso isiboshwa ke leso simtshele ke ukuthi ke manje sesizobheka ke sizohlola ke kuba kuyena ke umuntu loyo ukuthi asho ukuthi cha angivumi ke ukuthi ningihloleke noma ngiyavuma kodwa ke naye unalo ilungelo noma uyalinikeza ilungelo lokuthi avumeke ukuthi singakwenza lokho noma cha futhi noma ubheka ke isimo ke noma ke kangendlela ke alethwa ngayo ke awazi ke noma ukuthi mhlambe kwakuyi instruction noma ke igunya ke elapho yake kwaba ngaphezulu ke lelo.
Now say I'm concerned about the privilege between the patient and the doctor. I cannot assume a privilege because, may I just establish, before you examine accused number 2, did you meet with the police first in the presence of Mr. Ntanzi?
The police, how it works in the system that we have, with patient queuing outside, in general as point of view, né? Then when we have a patient queuing outside, patients come through with a line. We don't see any patient or talk to anyone prior to the patient actually entering into the exam room, because we're trying to avoid conflict of other patients coming in while we're still with other patients. So when the patient came in, when we started talking to the policeman, the patient was there. And there was no point whereby, I'm confirming there was no point whereby I was called into the corner and I was told directly when the patient was there. Maybe the patient, in my recollection, the patient was not sitting on the dental chair, was sitting in the chair that we usually put parents or guardians for minors to watch over their kids as we are going through operating them or we're examining them.
Engakusho ke lana ukuthi ke ngokwenjwayelo ke siba nabantu ke abazoma ke emgcini lapha abalinde ukuthi ke bangeneke ngoba sigwema ke into yokuthi usene patient ngaphakathi bese kungena enye ke kodwa lana ke okwenzeka ukuthi ke uma ngikhulumisana ke nephoyisa leli kanye nosojeleke ipatient eyikhona ke ila ngizama nje ukunikeza isiqinisekiso ke sokuthi akukhulunywanga nami noma angibizelwanga ekhonyeni kwakhulunywa nami kodwa kwakhulunywa nami ipatient ikhona kunesitulo ke esilaphayana esivamise ukuthi ke sihlale umzali uma kuukuthi ulethe umntwana omncane wayekhona elapho nkathi ngikhuluma nephoyisa.
So there's one answer that I asked from you, sir. Did Mr. Ntanzi give you a consent to examine him, yes or no?
Consent in terms of them saying or we ask?
In terms of examining him.
Yes, we
did
ask.
He give you? the consent?
I
to
would say we were given because we ask, the standard is we ask the patient. We tell the patient that what we're going to do, if they are comfortable with it, or we should go through with it. Before anything, in any standard, when we examine a patient, we tell them what we're going to do, explain to you, I'm going to check you first, and I'm going to check for, I'm going to examine you, I'm going to check for any sort of deformities. Do you agree? That's standard. Do you agree? And then the patient, if they say they do agree, then that's when we proceed. Because a patient, any patient who's above, we say it's a minor if they're under 18. If they're above 18, it's considered an adult, they have the right to say no. So the patient did allow me to assess them. So
Yebo
in
ke
a way,
ngacela imvume wanginikeza imvume ngoba ke ngiyambuza ngiyamtshela futhi nokuthi ke yilokhu engizokwenza kuwena uyavuma noma yini ke ngoba lo muntu la sikhuluma ngomuntu ke ongaphezulu ko18 kuba ingane ke uma engaphansi kweminyaka ewu18 ukuphendula ke yebo wanginikeza ke imvume yokuthi ke ngaqhubeka ke.
Did you have a consent form that was signed by
the consent form
Yes.
that usually comes, ne? This is a file for the dental. When a patient comes in the I would have indicated that they should have gotten a standard form that they have. Remember the healthcare center, when the patient arrives, we have a file, a bigger file that comes in for us, whereby it has even things from the the medical side.
I understand you want to explain. Did you have a consent form that was signed by Mr. Ntanzi?
The form, yes, we did have the file. In the file, there is a consent form that explains the patient agrees to be signed.
Are you in possession of that file?
I don't have the file.
Yebo ikhona ke iform ekhona uma sithola ke ifile la assign khona.
Sorry, Mr.
Ngisho
Mngwezulu.
ifile anginayo.
You mustn't accuse me of giving evidence. Just have a look at this.
Son.
Because you are the ones who gave me this as an exhibit which was going to be utilized by Mr.
Yes,
Maloi.
I'm quite aware. Page 4, the witness did testify about the consent and the signature of the
Yeah, well,
It talks about the signature here. It
you
talks
haven't
about...
read that. Let me read it. Just bring it here. Oh, my God. Consent form. I, the undersigned, hereby give permission for dental treatment to be performed on myself, not my child. And then they say name. I have been informed and understand the benefits and burdens of the proposed treatment and treatment alternative and the option of no treatment. Then it's signed by somebody here.
The logic, my
No, no, it's okay. You
Yes,
can go
my,
on.
my logic, the logic that I'm trying to converse on
Okay.
the form was signed after
No,
the
no, fine.
examination.
Go on, Mr.
Yes.
Ngomezulu.
If it was signed before, or I'm putting to you that accused number 2, when he was brought by the police, he was in the car and he was under the guide, or he was escorted by certain Metropolis officers. When the officers that spoke to you entered the surgeon,
I'm going to explain. When in the operation area that we work in, I only encounter with the patient when they have gone through certain people. Before they even get to me in the dental department, they need to go through our receptionist, the one who has a book that writes them down, and then they interact, whoever, if it's a guidance or whatsoever, they interact with them. When they come to me, I am only going to see the patient on the basis that they're going to just inform to me, or we have a patient. That day they told me, or there is a present patient, the policeman spoke to me, or you need to assess them. And then in most cases, I don't even ask for what it is for. I wait for them to come in and inquire with the people that are coming in, because most of our HR people don't really know what needs to be assessed from those patients. So most of them times they get the things wrong. So they always say there's a patient who's came in, especially patients that are from prison. Even when we were still in school, when we have patients that are coming from prison, they inform us when we have a patient, and then we speak to the policeman after, when they've already seen those HR people
say,
with the
Lana ke
patient.
okwenzekayo ukuthi Oh, umeli uthi ke ummangalelo wesibili ke bayihlezi emotweni kanye ke namaphoyisa ke eMPD nkathi ke wena ukhulumisana nephoyisa likutshela ke lapha yana uthi okwenzekayo ke ukuthi labantu laba baqala eHR HR lapha kuneform ke ekufanele bayigcwalise bese beza kumina ke mabeza kumina ke futhi ke mina ngibona ke abangitshelayo ukuthi ke kufanele yini ke abeze ngayo noma abazoyenza.
During the examination in chief, you said the police officers informed you to check a specific thing.
When they arrived,
Yes.
initially with the accused, when they got into the waiting area, this is protocol that we do when it comes to prisoners or people that are being sent to us from a certain governmental institution. We need to talk to the person that brought in the
Yes.
prisoner and then ask them, what is the patient here for? And then they have to inform us what the patient did, confirm or they have a tooth that's broken, that's swallowed, and then from there on, that's when we proceed to talk to the patient. So now with me, the police corps just told me from their view that, look, we have a patient here, we have a case, we want you to either confirm if they had a gold tooth or they didn't have a gold tooth. So that's what I was told when the patient was there in the present. Then I continued to proceed to talk to the patient and telling them, oh no, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna actually examine you. So you're gonna sit down, I'm gonna examine you, I'm gonna examine the mouth, and also I'm gonna check certain things from you. And then the patient did say and agree, okay, no, it's fine, that you can do. And then I did do that.
Okwenzeka ke lana ukuthi yebo ke amaphoyisa ke elikhona elaphayana engitshela ke ukuthi yini ekwakufanele ke ngiyenze noma engiyibheke ke nokuthi ngenze isiqiniseko sokuthi wayenalo yini izinyo legolide noma cha i-patient ikhona ihlezi lapho emuva kwalokho ngase ngikhuluma naye ke ngimtshela ke ukuthi ngizokwenzani noma kwakuyini ke le engangizoyenza kuyena lokho kwenzeka ekhona.
Let me just put it this way to you so that you understand. In relation to the information you gave out as a doctor to examine the accused was not the scope upon which you were accused number 2 was brought to you. You exceeded the scope.
Remember in my explanation, when you look at the file, the form that we have, the standard, I was going through the file word to word, explaining every single thing that was there. And then if you could notice, every single thing that I spoke about, it's within this file. I never went above and beyond to write anything that was not within this file.
Ummeli uthi ke wena ke kulokho wakwenza wena ke wenza wase uyeqisa ke kulokho kwakufanele ukuthi uyakwenza. Uma ubheka le form ke enginayo lapha kwami eninayo ke nani ukuthi ke ngenza konke ngalendlela ekungayo la akukho la engabhala khona noma ke ngase ngengeza okunye okungekho kule form ephambi kwami.
You are not a pulmonologist.
That one, well, we are well aware, but remember,
You
everyone...
are not a pulmonologist. Is that so?
Yes, I'm a dentist. Everyone that goes through medical school, we are supposed to learn the basic function of the body. Meaning you have to be able to, when a patient arrives to you, know the most basic facts of every single thing that's been done. It's noticing the basic things. This is why we were taught in order to be able to identify if there is an assault patient that was, even if the patient, for example, even if a child is brought to me by their parent and saying, well, they fell, I'm supposed to, as an individual, look at the whatever it's been said is correlate with what the patient has said. If I see any marking that shows that the child is being abused, I'm supposed to, as an individual, address to that and then take steps, maybe in contacting a social worker or something that's that. So the reason why we are taught that, we're taught to notice bruises, to know the heart blood pressure of an individual, whether it's high, whether it's low, what does it indicate? And then based on that, we conclude whether the patient from our side, it's normal or it's not normal. That's why we check things like high blood pressure and these things, these readings, they are brought to us by the nurses that do these things and then they bring to us. For example, if a patient comes in with a high blood pressure into our waiting area, we're not going to see them. we're definitely going to write a referral and say, refer patient to emergency so that the blood pressure can be stable before we see them. That's the protocol, meaning that we need to know the basics about how the pulse is, how the high how the high blood is, how the sugar is, and
There's so
also
much
and also
So-
the whether the patient appears
Even
to
if
have
we were
any
taking
infection.
notes, we will not be able to take notes because just.
I don't
My
understand. What are you saying?
My lord, I was saying, even if we were taking notes, and he's talking medical terms and whatever is quick, and we can't follow him. So I want to confine him in terms of legal aspect. It's lunchtime. My lord, it's lunchtime. I thought I would have one question, but I see that there's so much to do now. May we adjourn, my lord, for lunch?
Okay. Hello, are you available after lunch, sir?
I think I was supposed to be available until 1:30 because there are some family responsibilities I need to attend today.
Are you comfortable?
Huh?
Are you comfortable counseling them and testifying here, or do you want us to excuse you? Come on Monday.
I think already it's fine. I will just wait for 2 o'clock because on Monday I might not even be around this.
Oh, okay, fine. 2 o'clock then.